What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. I have a huge backlog of really cool content to put out, but rather than going back in the archives, I figured this was a great time to post a very recent adventure with my friend Omar about a week ago in Arizona. We started off the trip with this lesser nighthawk on our drive from LA to Phoenix area for the night, and the next morning we were off to go get some cool birds. We got our first target of the trip actually just at a little rest area that looked good for the species. It was a rufous-winged sparrow, which is pretty restricted. While common in its range, they're really only in southern Arizona, a tiny part of the New Mexico boot heel, and northwestern Mexico.
How's that feel?
It feels so good. It makes me want to do this.
Next up, we headed to the Anza Trail in Tubac in search of northern beardless tyrannulet. Also had some fun catching these whiptails. But this was a good spot that offered a really good chance for northern beardless tyrannulet. And while they're sort of around quite a few areas, this was a perfect spot to search due to the dense riparian understory that they often favor. And the species is really pretty different than anything else you're going to find in the U.S. They're superficially similar birds, but they're really pretty unique as far as U.S. birds. Next up, we were off to the infamous Madera Canyon with quite a few targets in mind. And one of those birds was one of the coolest parulids, if not the coolest in the U.S., the red-faced warbler. There are some arguably nicer parulids in Central and South America, but this really is one of the coolest birds in the world representing that family.
Third lifer of the day. How do you feel about it?
Maybe the coolest bird I've even ever seen. YouTubio. Red-faced warbler. Checks out. It's everything I'd ever hoped it would be and more. It's everything you ever hoped it would be and more. You should go see one.
Mexican jays are quite ubiquitous if you're in proper oak or pine woodland, really anywhere in their range, which includes a good chunk of Mexico, obviously southeastern Arizona, parts of New Mexico, and a little bit of Big Bend. But yeah, if you're in their habitat, this is a bird you're going to see. Broad-billed hummingbirds end up getting a little overlooked because of how common they are, but they are truly a stunning species. Wild turkeys are one of the largest birds in North America. There's actually only 2 turkey species in the world, the other one being ocellated turkey in the Yucatan Peninsula. And these guys are quite a common sight in good habitat and often frequent feeders. Rivoli's hummingbirds are truly magnificent birds. And as that adjective suggests, they used to be called magnificent hummingbird before they were split with the Talamanca hummingbird, which is found in Costa Rican highlands. And this species is barely smaller than blue-throated mountain gem, which takes first place as the biggest U.S. hummingbird. Hepatic tanagers, while similar to summer tanagers, are a very fun southwestern puranga with a lot duskier tones in the back and auriculars, as well as a much darker bill. Despite their parasitic tendencies, bronzed cowbirds are really pretty cool. This is a female, but both the females and the males have this really cool red eye. Arizona woodpecker are a very cool oak woodland species with kind of a funny name because while they're in a little bit of Arizona and a small part of the New Mexico boot heel, they're almost entirely found in Mexico. Next, we were on our way to the infamous Box Canyon, which is home to a very special sparrow that is found and breeding in only a couple of spots in Arizona and nowhere else in the U.S. But while we were searching for birds, we got to see some cool mammals, like this antelope squirrel, as well as white-tailed deer scaling a hill. And I have to say, Southeast Arizona is the highest density location for deer that I've ever seen. Varied bunting was another lifer for Omar, and this is definitely one of the coolest passerinas in the United States. There are 2 very special Mexico passerinas that I don't think varied bunting beats, but it's really between this and painted bunting as far as the U.S. ones go, in my opinion.
Omar, what did we just see right about there?
Right about there, we just saw a five-striped sparrow. not to be confused with a 4 or 6-striped sparrow. One of the best birds of the trip, I do declare.
The five-striped sparrow took us some work, but we finally got it, and we were really amped. These things are gorgeous, and their habitat is just really cool. This was the second time I've ever seen them, and a lifer for Omar. And next up, we had another really special bird. After a truly epic evening with five-striped sparrow and buff-collared nightjar, which is typically really pretty tough outside of very remote areas near the Mexico border, we did some herping with my buddy Ezekiel and Nolan, and it was a little slow, but the southwestern blackhead snake, as well as quite a few geckos, made it quite worthwhile. This is a tiny little species in the genus Tantilla that primarily feeds on centipedes, which is really pretty cool. Part of why we went road cruising with Nolan and Ezekiel after the buff-collared nightjar was so we could wake up in the morning at Madera and get this very special and quite rare ABA hummingbird called a Berylline. And these views were just spectacular. It was really exciting to have it so close at point-blank range. Butter-eyed sparrow are found in mesquite grasslands, so we were able to get this sort of at the base of Madera Canyon on our way out after getting the Berylline hummingbird, and they've got a really cool song.
What do we see today and where are we going?
What do we see today, you ask? Berylline hummingbird. Good. Buttery sparrow, I like him, he's nice. We're going somewhere else for some other stuff.
As Omar so eloquently put it, we were going some other places for some other stuff. Specifically, Miller Canyon was the first stop, and this painted redstart, while gorgeous, was not the main target. It was actually this flame-colored tanager. There's been a pair there right now, and we got some really cool looks.
Talk to me.
Mi gente, we just crushed flame-colored tanager, and it was awesome. I'm a little winded, but it was worth it. I did it like this, and then I saw it. You can do it too. I believe in you.
After we got the flame-colored tanager, we just got the male, not the female. We enjoyed some hummingbirds at Miller Canyon, such as this violet-crowned hummingbird, which is always really fun to see. Quite a cool species. As well as our first broad-tailed hummingbirds of the trip, which was actually also a lifer for Omar, and one of my favorite species from back home in New Mexico. So it's time to say goodbye to Miller Canyon and look for another hummingbird.
You're gonna come and greet us? Oh, we're doing our push-ups for the day. All right.
Ash Canyon is an infamous location in Arizona, formerly ran by the late Mary Jo, who was an incredible person that I was very fortunate to meet several years back. But this place has been taken over by the local Audubon chapter, and it is just a really fun, very bird-rich area. Offering looks at all sorts of cool species like that Scott's oriole, lots of Gila woodpeckers, quite a few different hummingbirds, and historically it's been really good for Montezuma quail, which we had heard earlier at the buff-collared nightjar. But the real reason that we stopped at Ash Canyon was for one of the coolest hummingbird species in the ABA. And it's not this calliope hummingbird. This is probably a slightly late female that's on its way north to hopefully breed and has been lingering around the area. But actually, we were after these Lucifer hummingbirds. Lucifer hummingbirds can be weirdly tough in Arizona. There are quite a few areas where you can get them, but they're most reliably in Ash Canyon. They're also pretty common in the Peloncio Mountains of New Mexico, as well as parts of Texas around the Big Bend area. The males have this gorgeous purple gorget, and the females have a really cool orange sheen across the underparts, and they've got this really arched bill and cool tail shape.
Could you please tell us what this hat you're wearing is?
This is called the lifer hat.
And what is the story behind it?
The story behind the lifer hat is when you see a lifer, you put on the lifer hat. I don't get to wear the lifer hat much these days, but these past 2 days, I've been wearing the lifer hat a plethora of times. I don't even know if that's how you use plethora, but we just saw Lucifer's hummingbird. It was cool, awesome, liked it, it was nice. Shut up, JF Wildlife. Like and subscribe.
We were off next to Ramsey Canyon in search of owls and Mexican whippoorwill, like the one you heard in that last video. Elf owl is the smallest owl species in the world, and it was great to get looks at them. And shortly after, we got looks at whiskered screech owl, which is a really cool boot heel in Southeast Arizona species that has a really fun Morse code call that's quite popular.
Time for everyone's favorite part of the episode. Interviews with Omar. What do you have to report?
I have to report you're blinded me. Besides that, we got looks at elf owl, looks at whiskered screech owl, heard Mexican whippoorwill. We really cleaned up, taking care of business.
We made the owling work despite a wedding that was going on. Portal is literally the portal to the Chiricahua Mountains and one of my favorite areas in the entire world.
Since 1993, although the trees and that little white pan feeder are the only thing that were.
We primarily stopped at the George Walker House for another very rare ABA hummingbird, this gorgeous male white-eared hummingbird. And of course, this is another location where you can really enjoy great views of common species, such as this lovely northern cardinal. We worked our way up in elevation for a different composition of species, quite a few that we hadn't yet got on the trip. And while we had a yellow-eyed junco at Madera earlier, they were quite a bit more common as we got higher up, which is typically the trend for them in the breeding months. But the real reason we were at Madera Canyon was for buff-breasted flycatcher, which is a really cool and cute Amphidonax flycatcher. They're kind of an exception that tests the rule of empids being really difficult ID challenges due to their pretty obvious identification appearance with that really nice, crisp, orangish breast and all orange mandible. And this fairly diagnostic empid is probably one of the best southeastern Arizona birds, and they range from Arizona, New Mexico, all the way down to western Nicaragua. The Barfoot Park area was next up for us as we climbed a little higher than Madera Canyon in search of two special species, one of them being Ocotero, also known currently as olive warbler, although there was some push to change the name to Ocotero, both because it sounds a lot cooler and also because they're neither olive nor a warbler. And the other big target was Mexican chickadee. As you can see here, these birds are really tough in the U.S. and really pretty much only reliable in the Chiricahuas. There's a small range in New Mexico that's very hard to access. Our time in the Chiricahuas was coming to an end, but we tried to soak it all in. The drive through Cave Creek is one of the most beautiful drives that I've ever been on. It's just such an underrated location in the entire world, I think. But we made one last stop at Cave Creek Ranch, which is, and has always been one of my favorite birding spots in Arizona. You typically see things like white-nosed coatis, a Central American species, and things like javelinas at the feeders. But the big reason for our stop was for blue-throated mountain gem. We were racking up quite a hummingbird total. This mountain gem was our 12th hummingbird species of the trip, and we followed it up looking at some Chiricahua leopard frogs in a Cave Creek Ranch pond. We are on the 10, heading out of the Chiricahuas and back towards Green Valley on the north end of the Santa Ritas, kind of. Heading for Ferruginous Pygmy-Owl tomorrow, which would be some real icing on the cake. Hopefully gonna see some snakes tonight. And yeah, Ferruginous Pygmy would be Omar's 20th lifer of the trip, which is...
And my final ABA owl.
And his final ABA owl. So we'll see how that goes. Stay tuned. Ferruginous Pygmy-Owl is pretty common in the neotropics, but really difficult in the U.S. They're not very easy to access in South Texas. Occasionally they're outside of a restricted ranch. But generally speaking, they're just not a very reliable bird in the ABA. So it was a very exciting opportunity to try to get one for Omar at a place where I saw one in the past. And sure enough, we got him. This noise right here is a passerin's worst nightmare.
Traversing through the desert, I should have put on hiking boots because I'm getting impaled through my Crocs left and right. But it's all worth it and okay. Tell me why it's all worth it and okay.
Because I done did it. We done did it. We got the Ferruginous Pygmy-Owl. My last owl I needed for the ABA. Jordan, tell him how I really feel.
He feels great, but the job's not done because there's a little birdie in LA waiting for us.
Our last big stop in Arizona before heading back to Los Angeles was for the naturalized species rosy-faced lovebird, which is natively found in Africa, but also introduced here in the Phoenix Metro, as well as in parts of Hawaii. After those lovely lovebirds, we rushed back to Los Angeles. Here we are crossing the Colorado River back into the Golden State of California.
Here we are, back in California.
We are so bad.
We are going for a very special bird in Los Angeles that we'll barely have enough daylight for, but we are very hopeful. What's the significance of this bird to you, Omar?
This bird was my 400th LA County bird.
It's pretty awesome.
And I've been stuck at 399 for a very long time.
He's been stuck there for a long time. There's not many counties you can get 400 in, and swallowtail kite would be the perfect bird.
What bird is it again?
Swallowtail kite. And how many lifers did you get on this very trip?
I think I got 21 lifers. Shout out 21.
We were hoping for 16 or 17 on account of probably missing something. But instead we completely clean sweeped, which was really awesome.
And got a bonus extra.
Because we didn't really think Ferruginous Pygmy was going to happen, but we made it work. And let's see if we can finish strong with the swallowtail kite.
As far as 400th county birds go, you can't really do better than a swallowtail kite. This is just an incredibly majestic species with a really cool pied appearance and that obviously incredible swallowtail. These birds are found along the Gulf Coast as well as throughout quite a bit of the neotropics, but seeing one in California and much less LA is really, really atypical. So this mega was an insane way to end the trip, and it was worth gunning it back from Phoenix for truly an incredible bird like this. And it was pretty dang cool to watch it slowly drink water from the pond at Ken Malloy Harbor Park. Looks at this least bittern with our friend Shezzy was a really cool way to finish up the trip and our visit to Ken Malloy. Shout out TJ for helping me out with this video, and here's some final thoughts.
Lifer hat on one more time for good measure. What an ending to the trip.
What an ending. I can't even believe that just happened.
You've seen 400 birds in LA County. How does that feel?
It feels pretty damn good. Let me get the microphone.
Get the microphone out.
It feels pretty good on a county. There's not even a lot of counties you can really even see 400 birds in.
It's true. And it's crazy to think we saw Ferruginous Pygmy-Owl a mere 10 hours ago.
Don't forget the rosy-faced lovebird.
And rosy-faced lovebirds. Anyways, thanks guys for following along. Like and subscribe. This has been fun. Glad to do it with my main man right here.